If you've ever ran ads for your dog training business, then you probably know the frustration that comes with low quality leads. You start to run ads, things are going well, but then you realize none of the leads are answering your calls, they can't afford your service, and you waste a bunch of time and money on leads who don't convert. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you how we help dog trainers get a consistent flow of high-paying leads by weeding out the low-quality prospects and only attracting dog owners who are serious about training. In fact, one of our clients recently said, instead of just getting messages asking for prices, I'm now talking to qualified owners who understand the program and the investment before I even contact them. I was able to transition from a $3,000 3-week program to a $5,000 to $6,500 6-week training program and still continue closing clients. And I'm about to break down the exact system we use to make that happen, so let's get into it. Okay, so what we're gonna cover in this video is 4 essential components that you need to understand if you wanna get high quality leads in your business. And the first one is the platform that you use. This can make a big difference in the quality of lead that you get. The next one is how you build out the ads. So we're gonna show you how we build ads to attract high quality leads. The next thing is how we build landing pages. So I'm gonna show you how we build landing pages that align with your ideal avatar and disqualify or weed out low quality leads who you don't want. And then last but not least, we have lead management and expectations. So we're gonna go into how you should be managing these leads and expectations you should have when you're running an ad campaign, so that way you understand what to expect and don't implode your campaign too early, right? Or make some irrational decisions. So let's go ahead and start with the platform we use. The platform we use is Google Ads. If you want to get the highest quality leads, without a doubt, Google Ads is the way to go. The main reason for this is because the intent is much higher with Google Ads. You have someone who is actively searching for a solution. You have someone who has recognized they have a pain and a problem, and they may have been dealing with this problem for years before ever looking for a solution. Well, now they are, and they've opted in, and so you can rest assured this is going to be a high quality lead. As opposed to Facebook ads, users are not searching for a solution at that moment. They are simply just in bed after a long day, they're scrolling, and they happen to see an ad that resonates with them, and they opt in because they're curious enough to find out more. But they're not really in a bunch of pain. They weren't looking for a solution. And so what you can expect with Google Ads is much more responsive leads who are much easier to close and usually willing to invest more. And the reason is because they're in pain and they recognize they have a problem. And when someone is in pain, your solution is going to be perceived as a lot more valuable than someone who is not in pain. And so with Facebook ads, you're going to typically get leads who are more unresponsive. You're gonna get leads who require more work to close. They're gonna be harder to get a hold of. They're gonna have a lot more questions, right? And they're usually not gonna be willing to invest as much because, again, they weren't looking for a solution. They saw your ad, they liked it enough to opt in, but they're not necessarily in a bunch of pain like someone who's actively searching for a solution. Therefore, your program is not going to be as valuable to them. So the platform that we use is Google Ads because without a doubt, you will get the highest quality leads from Google Ads. Okay, now how we build the ads. This is a very important thing to consider, okay? And so what we're gonna do is dive into how we set up the campaigns. And I'm actually going to pop up a real account example. So let's get into it. Okay, so here we have a real account from one of our clients. In fact, this is the same client who had that quote that I referenced earlier, selling programs for $5,000 to $6,000 from their Google ad campaign. And so this is how we have it set up. So the first thing is the type of campaign that we run, and I know it might be a little hard for you to see here, is your typical search campaign. We don't do a performance max campaign. We don't do an AI search max campaign. We do the good old fashioned search campaigns. And the next thing is we opt out of the search and the display network. These will get you a bunch of clicks, but the clicks will be cheap. They'll be bottom of the barrel. And you probably, if you get any leads at all, they are not going to be high quality leads. So definitely opt out of search network and display network. I've never seen these things do anything but waste ad budget. And the next thing we have is the conversions that we track. This is so important. So listen up. I have looked at so many Google ad accounts where they either don't have conversions set up at all, or they're optimizing for the wrong conversions. Because you have to remember, these platforms need to learn. And they learn with data and feedback. If you are optimizing for low quality conversions, for example, someone who lands on your page, that's great that they clicked the ad and that's great that they may have landed on your contact page. That's a signal they're interested, But unless they filled out a form or became a client, it doesn't matter if they landed on the contact page. But a lot of you guys, I've seen it in these accounts, are optimizing for page views. And so what Google does is go, oh, cool, someone landed on your contact page. I see that that's a conversion. Great, we're gonna go find more people who will land on your contact page. It's like, it doesn't matter if they land there. We need them to fill out a form, we need them to give you a call, and we need them to become a client. And so it's important that the conversions you optimize for are high quality conversions. So we have two here. We have converted leads and lead form submissions. So we only count a conversion when someone actually submits a form. So when someone submits a form, it's counted as a conversion. Google recognizes that as a positive feedback signal and goes to find other people who will also submit forms. And then we have converted leads, and these are people who have become clients. And so when someone submits a form, that's great. But when they become a client, that's even better. And we want to make sure we tell Google, hey, Google, this person just became a client. Go find more people who are like this. So now your campaign is optimizing for lead form submissions and new clients. And those are the highest quality leads that you want Google to be attracting, or rather looking for in your business. You want to teach the algorithm how to find high quality leads, not these low quality clicks or page views. And then our bidding strategy is maximize conversions. So we want to make sure that we are maximizing for these conversions like converted leads and lead form submissions. So don't select maximize clicks or anything like that. Select maximize conversions. Okay, and the next setting that we have here, and this is a very important one that is sneaky, and if you don't know about it, you're gonna get lower quality leads. So basically, you'll see this locations drop down here. Go ahead and click it. And then down here, you'll see where it says location options. Go ahead and click that as well. Google is gonna automatically select this top option as a default option, okay? You wanna make sure that you select this bottom option, and I'm gonna read them out to you and then explain why. So the first one we have here is presence or interest. People in, regularly in, or who've shown interest in your included locations. And you can see they put in parentheses recommended. And then at the bottom here, we have presence, people in or regularly in your included location. So the key word here is who've shown interest. So for example, if you live in Dallas, Texas, and you have someone from New York who is interested in vacationing in Dallas, Texas, and they're typing in on their computer, good hotels in Dallas or good restaurants to eat in Dallas, Google is going to recognize that person in New York as someone who's interested in Dallas and show your ad to that person. You don't want your ad to be shown to people in New York, even if they're showing interest in the area. You want your ad to be shown to people who are local residents that live in Dallas, Texas, and that's it. But if you select this top option, that's what Google's gonna do. They're gonna go and find people who are showing interest in Dallas, even if they don't live there. So it's very important you select this bottom option here. And that's about it for the campaign setup. Just to quickly summarize what we've covered, we use search campaigns, we opt out of the search network and the display network, and we only optimize for high quality conversions like new clients and lead form submissions. And then we also covered the location options, so just make sure you select this bottom radio button here. So that's how we configure the campaign settings on the front end. Now we are optimizing for high quality leads. The next thing is messaging. Okay, so who are we trying to attract? And this is very important because the messaging you use will determine the type of people that you bring into your business and the type of leads that you attract. So the first thing we want to cover is words to avoid. And this goes for your headlines, your descriptions. This goes for your landing page, the text you use on your landing page. You want to avoid words like affordable or cheap or discount or free or budget or coupon. Okay, because if your programs are $25,000 to $5,000, you probably don't want to show up for someone who's looking for affordable training or cheap training or, budget-friendly training, right? Next thing we have here is free evaluations. So I know I mentioned here to avoid words like free, with the exception of free evaluations. So really, with a free evaluation, they can be a great front-end offer to get people in the door, but if you position this evaluation as something like a transformation session or a free first lesson or a free assessment, you will attract some people who think, oh, let me, get this free lesson. Let me take advantage of this free lesson or this free transformation session, who have no intentions of buying, but just want to get some free value and then dip. Okay, so just be aware if you're going to offer free evaluations, make sure you position it in the right way. Otherwise, you might attract people who are simply just looking for freebies. The next thing we have here is using high intent keywords. Okay, so when you build out your Google ad campaign, you're going to add keywords that you want your ads to show for. You should avoid short and generic keywords like dog trainer, board and train, and private lessons. These are too broad and too generic, where you will get people who are looking for something that is unrelated to your service. So for example, if you just have the word dog trainer, you might get someone who's looking to become a dog trainer. You might get someone who's looking for a dog training book, and that's because your keyword is way too broad. So make sure that you add long tail and specific keywords like near me, in XYZ city, or for aggressive dogs, or for puppies. So for example, you might want to use a keyword like, instead of just board and train, you might want to do something like board and train services in XYZ city for puppies. Now it's much more long tail, it's much more specific, and when your ad is shown in the search results, you can be confident it's to someone who is actually looking for the thing that you want to sell. And I forgot to add it here, but in Google Ads, when you select a keyword, you're gonna have three options. The keyword can be a broad match, a phrase match, or an exact match. Do not use broad match. You will get a ton of unrelated keywords, or rather search terms that your ad shows up for. Don't use broad match. I highly suggest using phrase and exact match only. And the next one we have here is ad groups separated by theme. So when you create your Google ad, you will have what is called ad groups. And you should create multiple ad groups for each service type that you offer. So if you're offering board and train, private lessons, and group classes, you want to make sure you have 3 ad groups, one for each service type. That way, when you create the ad group, let's say board and train, for example, you'll have one board and train ad group, you'll have one private lessons ad group, and you'll have one group classes ad group. And each ad group is gonna have its own board and train related keywords, and it's gonna have its own board and train related headlines and descriptions. So that way, if someone is typing in board and train near me, they see an ad with a headline that's board and train related and a description that's board and train related. But if you only create one ad group and you try to stuff up private lessons keyword and a board and trains keyword and a group classes keyword all within that one ad group, and you have a mix of headlines and descriptions that are board and train and private lessons and group classes, what'll happen is if someone is typing in board and train near me, your ad will show in the search results and might say something like in-home private lessons, which is totally unrelated to what the person was typing in. So if you want to attract the right leads into your business, make sure you separate the ad groups by theme, so that way they're hyper relevant and specific to what the user is typing in. The next one we have here is adding negative keywords ahead of time. So before you even publish your ad campaign on Google, make sure you add negative keywords that you know you don't want your ad to show up for. So add negative keywords before starting your campaign to avoid wasted ad spend and low quality leads. So for example, if you don't offer board and trains, include that keyword and its variation as negative keywords in Google Ads. Do the same for aggressive dogs or other service types and words like cheap or affordable. So for example, if you don't train aggressive dogs, you don't want your ads to show up for someone who writes board and train for aggressive dogs or dog trainer for aggressive dogs near me. You don't want to show up for that because you don't train aggressive dogs. So you want to make sure you add aggressive dogs as a negative keyword. So that way, if someone types in a search term that includes aggressive dogs, you don't show up for it. And this way, you don't waste ad spend on irrelevant clicks and search terms. So go ahead and add negative keywords ahead of time, and this will save you money and make your ads a lot more efficient. Now, the next one we have here is how we build landing pages. So your landing page should align with the type of client you want to attract and filter out those you don't. So for example, your landing page should have professional and premium elements if you want to attract high quality leads. So if you have a facility, include images of your facility. Make sure your branding is laced throughout the website, not just your logo and the colors, but also like if you have a vehicle that's wrapped with your branding, include that somewhere on the website. If you have a team of people, make sure they're included on the website. Any videos you have that help demonstrate your competence as a trainer, include those on the website. And in credentials, any credentials you have that help boost your credibility, go ahead and add them on the landing page as well. The next thing we have is avatar alignment. So if most of your clients are young couples who are active and adventurous, you should avoid adding content with old people who are retired and sitting at home. Again, you want to make sure your landing page aligns with the type of people who who you want to attract and filter out those you don't. Next thing we have is social proof. This is a big one. Put Google reviews on your website. Add testimonial videos. This is super, super important to boost your credibility. And the next one we have here is form friction. And this is perhaps the most important landing page element that will determine the quality of leads that you get into your business. So listen up. You're always gonna have your standard questions like first name, last name, phone, email, and you probably wanna have dog's name, dog's age, dog's breed. That's all fairly standard. Additional questions like this can help you attract higher quality leads and weed out low quality leads. Things like, what's your dog's primary issue? How soon are you looking to start training? Our programs range from $2,500 to $5,000. If we're a good fit, is this within your budget? Are you willing to attend the go-home lessons and practice after training? This is just a few examples of some additional questions you can add to your form to help weed out low-quality leads. Now, a very important thing I want to mention is just be aware that every additional question you add to your form will reduce your opt-in rate. So you want to be very careful about how many questions you add to your form. I would say at most, you should have at most 10 questions, and that's like top, okay? So there's that. Now, I did add a very important consideration here. By revealing the price of your programs, you also risk undermining the value of your service and losing leads that may have converted after speaking with you. Who a lead is now can be completely different after speaking with you for an hour. You might have a lead with a budget of $1,500 at the moment, but after they speak with you and truly get to understand the value of your service, is willing to spend up to $3,000. But you'll never get to have that opportunity if you reveal the prices of your programs on your landing page and scare them away before you ever actually get a chance to talk with them. So keep that in mind. It's a very important thing to consider. Now, last but not least, we have lead management and expectations. So you can do everything right. Everything we've covered so far, you can do it perfectly. But if you have the wrong expectations going into this, you will either quit too early or make random changes based on guesswork and not data. I've seen this happen time and time again. These are classic rookie mistakes. So to help you avoid these rookie mistakes, here's a list of what you can expect from paid ads. So expectations. The algorithm needs time to learn. You have to give this at least a 3-month outlook minimum. So don't run ads expecting it to just work right out of the gate in the first week or 2 weeks, right? Your ad account has no data in the beginning. And so Google does not know what works yet. You have to give it time for Google to learn, okay, these are the type of people who submit forms. These are the type of people who become new clients. As Google gets more data and understands what works and what doesn't, your ads will become more and more consistent and more profitable. So you gotta give this at least 90 days minimum, really upwards of 6 months if you ask me. And the next one we have here is lead conversion latency, 1 to 3 months. So this is very important to understand that the lead you get today might not convert for another month, 2 or 3 months, even up to 6 months for some of you guys. And so you don't want to judge the performance of your campaign as far as your ROI too early, because some of the leads you got yesterday or a week ago might be converting today or in another week from today. So you have to get time for lead. You have to give time for lead conversion latency, which is typically 1 to 3 months. Next thing is speed to lead is key. Okay, so when you get a new lead, even if they're high quality, it's very important that you reach out to that lead and get in contact with them as soon as possible. Because you might have a really high quality lead who is also shopping around with 2 or 3 other dog trainers. And chances are the dog trainer who gets in contact with that person first is gonna be the one who wins their business. So it's very important you respond to your leads quickly, okay? And then have proactive follow-up. So if you get a lead today and that lead loves what they've heard from you and they wanna start service, but they just have to talk to their wife or their husband first. It's like, okay, fair enough. Make sure you call that lead the following day and check in. Don't wait for them to call you back. Be on top of it, be proactive, follow up with your leads, keep them in your sphere of communication and get them through your sales process. The next thing is you gotta have a minimum spend of at least $1,000 a month. Anything less than that, it's just too slow, the data takes too long to collect, and you really want to have a budget of at least $1,000 a day, or rather a month, which is roughly $33 per day. So, summary for this video. We prefer to use Google Ads because they bring in high intent leads actively searching for a solution. And then how we build the ads. We optimize for high quality conversions, avoid using low intent keywords, and separate ad groups by theme. And then how we build landing pages. We use professional elements to establish authority, social proof for credibility, and add friction to the form to weed out low quality leads. And then last, we have lead management and expectations. We give time for algorithm learning and lead conversion latency. We contact leads as soon as possible, and we follow up proactively. So that is how we get high quality leads for our dog training clients. And I promise, if you implement some of the stuff that I've laid out throughout this video, you will get much higher quality leads in your business. Now, if you don't want to implement this stuff yourself and you'd rather just pay a team of professionals to do it for you, I'd be happy to talk. Go ahead and click the link below this video where it will redirect you to our website where there's a short video of me going over our service and how it works. And if you're interested enough, go ahead and book a call and I'd love to see if we're a good fit. Otherwise, if you don't want to be pitched, then don't click the link. But if you did get value from this video, please let me know by leaving a like. Go ahead and consider subscribing to the channel because we release new videos once every week. And also, if you have anything you want to say, go ahead and leave it in the comments. I will read them and respond to them. With that said, I will see you in the next one.